In this video, we are going to talk about why you should start your own business, why you should step out of your comfort zone, stop dreaming about starting, and just get started. Okay. And if you know me by at all, you know the first step is all about creating or deciding on a business idea that inspires you. Okay. But in this video, what I'm going to do is just going to tell you or talk about what starting a business has really done for me and why you should take the necessary steps in order to start your own business. Okay? So, to me, the number one reason that you should start your own business is because I think everyone deserves to live a truly free life. Like, starting your business will lead you to a life of freedom, and I think that's reason enough to experience what you want or to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. When you're working a job, you can't do what you want. Most people, the last thing they wanna do is go to that job, but they continue to do it. They continue to wake up every morning and head into a job that they absolutely despise, and I think that's a huge problem. All right. And that is really it's a defining part of not living a free life. You might live in a free country. And again, freedom doesn't come from isn't given to you. It's a choice. It's a choice to set yourself up where you can do what you want, when you want, with who you want. Right? And that's what it's all about. And it's sad that we're fed all of these ideas like this is the way you should do it. You should go to school, get a good job, stick it out for 40 years, retire with a pension and annuity, and then hopefully you can figure out what a fulfilling life is when you retire. Okay? Don't worry about that now. Why would you want to live a fulfilling life? Why would you want to experience freedom? No, starting a business isn't a decision to, it's not. Your decision to start a business is a decision to take control of your income and your time and to serve people. All right? That is what the decision is all about. It's not just to start a business, it's to take control of your life. In order to live that a life of freedom, you need control of your income and your time. And starting a business is the way to do that. I'm just telling you right now, there's no like achievement you get from sticking it out for 40 years working for a company and giving your entire life away, really, because everything that we do is really dictated around our work schedule, right? Oh, I can't do that. I won't be able to make it. I got to work. um I can't do that. I got to do work overtime. Whatever it is, like we dictate our entire lives around our work schedule. And it's a shame that we prioritize something, especially something that we don't even enjoy, we don't want to do. That's a huge problem. And if that's you, then just stop. Stop and think about this for a second. Why are you going to continue doing something that you don't want to do? It's your life. You get one life. And if you have a family and you have kids, I mean, geez, you gotta look at this like you are setting the foundation for your kids, right? You're basically laying it out for them. This is how life is. All right. And unfortunately, a lot of people do settle with that mindset of, hey, this is just life. You got to work, pay taxes, and then die. Right. But what if there was a different way? What if you decided to start your own business, earn 100 grand a year? What could you do with 100 grand a year if you were working for yourself, right? You're setting up your own schedule. You get to do the things that you want to do. Maybe you might even be able to homeschool the kids, right? Not have to pay for private schools or whatever it is. Maybe you can, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's very specific to you, but you need to create the vision of what starting a business would do for you. How would it impact your life, right? For me, a little backstory on how I started my own business. I was working a job in the union back in Boston. Absolutely hated it. I was fairly good at it, so I did have somewhat of job security where was a demand for you know uh, what I was doing, I guess, and I stayed busy. You know what I mean? I got laid off a couple times, and you know, honestly, that whole system's so screwed up because when you get laid off and you start taking on side work and then you're collecting unemployment, it's just a weird game. And, it was just a weird game to be playing. And I hated it. And one day, I sat down for lunch with a foreman of mine, and he said something that completely changed everything for me. He said, Justin, you're lucky. This company really likes you, and you could be here for the next 40 years. And I damn near choked on my lunch, my sandwich that I was eating because I was so sick of that job. I hated that job so much. I couldn't even imagine another 40 days, never mind 40 years. So I was staring off into space, basically seeing my life flash by me, and it was sickening. And I went home that night and I started researching how to start my own business. Came across a book on flipping houses and absolutely fell in love with it. It was a whole new world. I never even heard of flipping houses. Well, I can't say I didn't hear about flipping houses because my cousin was basically flipping houses and I worked with him, you know, did side work with him basically. So I knew about it, but I didn't understand wholesaling houses, put it that way. And that's what this book was all about. It was about flipping properties or flipping paper, right? Flipping contracts. And it was just so inspiring to me. And it was like, man, I could see myself doing this. And I just got so passionate about it and so obsessed. I mean, then I started realizing that there was information out there for free on YouTube, podcasts. I could go to free seminars and gather information from people who have already done it and that have a process in place that if I implement it, I could get results. And then I started understanding that I didn't even need any money to start. And the more I started to, and this is just a little side note, the more I studied business and all this, the more I realized that you don't need money to start just about any business. Because at the end of the day, it's not your money that has to fund it. Like this is one of the shifts, the mindset shifts that I got from real estate was it doesn't matter where the money comes from. Like if I sign a contract on for 80 grand, as long as that guy that I said I would pay 80 grand gets 80 grand, that's all that matters. And if I'm going to start a landscaping business and I need equipment, right? I need say 30 grand worth of equipment. That money does not have to come from me. As long as I obtain money to pay for that equipment, that's all that matters. So we're talking if you have a business plan or a business idea, or in my case, I had a contract on a property for 80 grand and I was selling it to this guy over here, this investor, Joe, for 100 grand or 90 grand, whatever it is, like whatever I decided. I had this asset in my hand. I had this piece of paper that said I could buy this property for 80 grand, which is equitable interest in that property. So I already that was basically like my business plan, right? In a way. I mean, I don't know if I can really get away with saying that, but it was something of value, and I had something where, all right, let's position it this way. It was a it was something valuable, right? Something where an investor can run a valuation and see if it's a good investment, right? So I would pitch that to this investor and say, "Hey, would you want to buy that property for 100 grand?" And I'd go to, geez, I had a list of like 1,000 um, cash buyers, at that point, and I would just blast it out to everybody and have it, available for 100 grand. And some people would be like, "It's not worth it. It's not worth 100 grand. It's not worth 100 grand." I get feedback from this email blast that I sent out, but then I realized all I need is one person to say yes, right? So, I mean, it didn't hurt my feelings when somebody said it wasn't worth it, or, I'm making too much money. Like, that never made any sense to like that I never worried about. Okay. And I'm not, um, yeah, I never really worried about that. Right. So, um, what was I saying? Losing my train of thought here. So yeah, I would wait until I found that one person, right? So I found that one person at 100 grand. I had now another contract. I brought these two contracts to a title company and we closed on the property. And I walked away with 20 grand, right? And that was the business I ran for like 8 years. Okay. But again, like back to that landscaping example, like if I needed 30 grand for ma- um, for the equipment, and I needed to go to a bank or a friend or who whatever to get the money, at least like you need to have at least a plan so that they say, okay, it would be worth investing in you in that business opportunity, basically, right? Because they're gonna say, okay, I'll give you the 30 grand to buy the material or buy the equipment. And let's just say you came to them and just said, hey, listen, I have a plan. I am going to run, ads in this location to acquire leads. Once I get 100 leads, I'm going to start, basically selling my offer, which is a bi-weekly grass cutting, offer or whatever. And, we do the trimming and everything every 2 weeks, and it's this price. And when I get a X amount of leads, I don't know why I'm going on such a ramble right here, but what I'm trying to say is you don't have to have the money. So if that's something that's holding you back, you don't have to have the money. You can go to a bank, you can go somewhere and, get a loan and buy the equipment that you need so that when you start delivering the service, you can pay that back, right? And pay yourself. And obviously, you want to make sure that you have a plan in place that is going to allow you to earn the money that you want to earn. Okay. I don't know if that even made any sense. I just kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there, um, but yeah, I want to. This live stream is kind of all over the place right here, but I want to touch on the fact that it really helps you understand who you are, because in business you're going to have a lot of adversity. And if you have a job and things go bad and you get laid off or blah blah blah, it's easy to point fingers. It's easy to say, my boss sucks, or the company's, not getting whatever. It's easy to point fingers. But when you have your own business, there's no one to point fingers at. It's literally you. Like you have to like man up and like take responsibility. And it's very humbling when you realize, oh, there's nobody out here to save me, and there's no one to blame. I'll tell you what, that's where I grew the most. That's where I really felt like, the problem solver came out of me. And that's really all that business is really just solving problems, right? Providing service. But I'm telling you, it really does allow you to find out who you are and what you're truly capable of. Because again, when you start, you're going to be constantly learning new things, constantly figuring out better ways of doing what you're doing, constantly figuring out, should I hire somebody to do this? Like that's a big thing, is trying to delegate, uh, part of the business that, maybe you shouldn't be doing. Right at the beginning, most of us just start doing everything. We're the bookkeeper, we're the person who provides a service, we're the, you know, tax strategist, we're the, what I mean, marketer, we're the salesperson, we're everything. But at some point, you need to figure out, when you can start delegating things, and that's a skill in itself. That's something you have to learn. And I don't say any of this to scare you away from it. I'm just saying everything, you can figure out everything. Everything, there is so much information out there to allow us to, when we figure out what we need to achieve, like what aspect of the business you need to educate yourself on. There is education out there for free on YouTube, right? You can help yourself along the way. You don't have to figure it out all right now. That's a big hang up for a lot of people too, is that they try to figure out every last detail. And there's a great quote by Steve Jobs who says, "You cannot connect the dots looking forwards. You can only connect the dots looking backwards." So you have to go through the process. You have to, reach that goal in order to, backtrack and say, okay, that's how I did it. I did this, I did that, I met that person, this opportunity came my way, whatever. You can then figure out how you got there. But from my experience, you may want it to go one way, but it's very rare it goes that way. I mean, just for me, for like getting out of real estate and getting into this coaching business has been super humbling. Like I sent out a one email, one email to my buyers list, right? For real estate deals, and just basically made the offer for my coaching program. And I got somebody right off of that one email, $10,000. And it was like right then I was like, "Oh, this is going to be super easy. It's going to be super easy." You know what I mean? That was just like it for me. And then I stepped out and, I'm like, "All right, well, I'm just going to go all in on this." And I can't tell you, like 3 years has gone by and I'm just trying to figure this out because that was a one-off deal, right? That was a one-off kind of thing. And I didn't have a process that I was going through to attract the right people. And that's really been my hang up so far is really just finding the right message to attract the right clients, the right people into my world, really, right? I don't want to work with everybody. And I just need to work on, I guess, my messaging. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing these live streams, because it gives me the opportunity to just figure out my voice, figure out who I'm speaking to, really dial in communication, trying to do this just off the cuff, no scripts or anything like that. Just talk. And again, like I was saying, like business is going to show you who you are and what you're really capable of. Like if I look back 10 years, for me to be doing something like this is just ridiculous. Or like especially when was back in the union. Like if I said, "Hey, in 2025 you'll be doing live streams on YouTube and you'll have a YouTube channel that you're growing to help people start their own business," like would have laughed my ass off, you know? But another thing for me, for my journey going from the union to starting my own business flipping houses was the fact that I learned so much about money. Like I came across multiple times where I was able to find a property, somebody who, had to sell and got it under contract, had no clue what it was worth, got to a point where I was able to, um, well, the first one I didn't rezone. It was already zoned. But I like my first six-figure check, okay? I sent out a mailing campaign. I answered a couple phone calls, came across this one guy who said he wanted to sell his property for $1 million. I kind of laughed it off because I was like, "Ah, geez." At that time, I'm like, I feel like everybody was asking $1 million for the house. It was in like the heat of, the Nashville market boom, and I was just getting sick of it. And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let me just take a look at it, and I'll send you an offer." So I ended up going back home. I started looking at the property, and I started realizing this was a piece of land that was already zoned for 70 units. So I was like, "Well, damn. All right. Well, I sent him an offer for the $1 million and, worked out a deal with him and his agent. And next thing I know, I have somebody else who's lined up to buy it for 1.15. And I really had no clue what it was really worth. I mean, the contract that I had was really an option contract to just, have the opportunity to buy it at 100,000. I mean, $1 million, right? I didn't have $1 million. I couldn't buy it for $1 million. But that's the beauty of real estate and just opportunity in general. If you see an opportunity, you don't have to um, you don't have to talk yourself out of it. Basically, you don't have to talk yourself out of it because you don't have the money or you don't have the experience or whatever it is. Like, stop looking at your current results and not like I can't figure out the word that I want to say. Discrediting yourself, basically, right? Like, if you see an opportunity, give yourself the option to see it through, right? So, just to finish up with this story is I got that contract for $1 million. I ended up finding somebody at 1.15. We closed the deal, and I had a check for $150,000 for one deal. I never made $150,000 in a year before that. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially coming from construction where my entire life I was told you have to work hard to earn a lot of money. And that check was a complete mindset shift for me. The fact that I didn't really do much when you really break down the action steps that I took. I got myself in a situation, right? I was in the right vehicle, in the real estate vehicle, and I was willing to take action. I was willing to send the mail and answer the phone and make the offer. You know what I'm saying? Like, get the contract. And it's just incredible because I was never taught how to do this. It was all self-taught. I just figured it out, watching YouTube videos, go to seminars, podcasts, all this kind of stuff. Never mind the fact I up and left Boston. I just said, "You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go." I tried to do the wholesaling thing out in Boston, and I just got distracted, and I just decided I was gonna move out to Nashville. One of my buddies sent me an email talking about the top 5 markets to flip houses, and Nashville was on the list. So I went out for a long weekend, fell in love with it, went back home. I ended up quitting my job, packing up my truck, and driving out to Nashville. Didn't know anybody, didn't have a place lined up. It's kind of odd, to be honest with you. I was planning on just staying in a hotel for a short period of time until I got an apartment. Luckily, I ran into a buddy of mine from middle school who was stationed out there and stayed with him for a year or two just to get started. But yeah, it's a hell of a journey starting your own business. A lot of ups and downs. I mean, the just the ability to look at yourself in the mirror and just know that you had the guts to step out and take control of your life. I think that was big for me. It was really big for me. And I'm trying to think what else. Oh, well, another thing, it allows you to really get creative, right? Like if I know for a fact, well, one of the big things that starting my own business did for me was it allowed me the income and the funds to take my father to the Super Bowl twice. We did it back to back years. We went to Houston to see the Pats play the Atlanta Falcons, and then we went the next year to Minnesota to watch the Pats play the Eagles. That was a rough one. But either way, it allowed me to have that experience. Like if I was still working that job, I would have never had the funds because I was living paycheck to paycheck because I was so miserable. I was spending everything I was earning just to try to find some fulfillment in life, you know? But that again, that experience of taking my father to the Super Bowl was incredible. Another thing it allowed me to do is to travel with my dog Duke. That was the best. We had a little Astro van that we traveled in. I've seen recently upgraded to a Ford Transit, but I mean, just that opportunity to spend time to go travel the country, see all these national parks, see how beautiful this country really is, drive on the free road, the open road. I mean, that's freedom to me. Starting my own business allowed me to unlock what freedom really means to me. And I would say my dog Duke too, because when he got cancer, I was like, we're just spending time together. And we hit the road for 30 days and had an absolute blast. But at the end of the day, you'll never be able to experience a life of freedom, true freedom. You have the ability, but you have to choose. You have to choose freedom. And I believe it really does start with taking control of your income, taking control of your time by starting your own business. And what I want to do is I want to help you get dialed in on that business idea that inspires you to take those first steps. You just need momentum. You need to start, get inspired so you can actually start making these, taking this action. I fell in the trap at the beginning of over consuming on information. And what I realized over the years is the more information that you consume without taking action, the more likely you are to procrastinate and do nothing. Procrastination is just really overconsumption of information without putting it into action. That's it. There's nothing wrong with you because you procrastinate. You're just taking so much information that you don't know what to do. And if you do know what to do, you don't even know why you need to do that. Like most people procrastinate on stuff at work to a job that they absolutely hate anyways. So they're not motivated to get this done. When you're focused on, starting your own business and you understand like you have to do this marketing campaign because it's going to allow your business to run and it's going to allow you to get sales. There is a reason for you doing everything that you do. And that's when you can overcome that procrastination. But if you're just working a job and you're like, we got to get this in for the deadline and blah, 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 and you hate that job, it's like, where's the motivation to do anything? You know? But yeah, I want to help you get inspired to start. That's what I want. All right. And, I'm going to do this one more time here, but I think moving forward, I don't think I'm going to do this breakdown here with the wheel of names and all that, or brainstorming a business idea, because I honestly don't know how I'm going to be able to do this when there are people joining in. I think this live stream is just going to turn into me talking about a topic and then taking questions in the chat. But I'm going to do this one more time just for the hell of it, just because I have it already set up. So what we're going to do is we're going to brainstorm a business idea, okay? And again, what my process is in regards to finding a business idea that's right for you, because not all business ideas are right for everyone, okay? What I would say to do, and again, if you want this list, just comment below hobbies and I'll send you this list. But you just want to identify maybe 3 to 5 interests, hobbies that you have, and start brainstorming. What businesses could you start based off of your hobby or your interest in cooking or meal prepping or videography or voiceover or whatever? Okay? There are so many different businesses based on all of these hobbies that you can start making, or you can start your own business. And I made sure to have this focus on making at least 100 grand a year. I think everybody, if you could just focus on earning at least 100 grand a year, that's a great start. Also, when you think about starting a business, think about something that is going to replace your current income. So if you're making 200 grand a year, let's find a business idea that will allow you to earn 200 grand a year. Okay? But this is how you're going to do this. You're going to go, well, actually, for this example, I'm sorry. If you have this list, you just want to brainstorm a couple hobbies. But for this example, I'm just going to use the wheel of names and we're going to pick a hobby together. Okay, so we're going to spin the wheel, see what comes up, and then we'll start the brainstorming process. Okay. All right. So language learning. This is an interesting one. So all you got to do is just go to ChatGPT. All right. ChatGPT is a great source to brainstorm. And in this case, what you're going to do is you're going to just come in here and give it a simple prompt like, please give me at least 10 business ideas based on the hobby of, let's change this to language learning. That would earn at least 100 grand a year. Again, if you earn more, just put in, whatever you earn for a yearly income. And then you just search. And then this starts the brainstorming process. So now here is 10 business ideas around language learning. So you have online language tutoring coaching. Offer one-on-one or small group lessons via Zoom, $50 an hour, 40 hours per month, for 52 weeks, $104,000. All right. So again, ChatGPT is great about helping you break down the numbers so you can start visualizing or figuring out how you could potentially structure this. Another idea is language learning membership or community. So you can create a monthly membership with live conversation classes, challenges, or cultural lessons. $25 a month, 400 members, 120 grand a year. Language learning YouTube channel, podcast. Teach phrases, pronunciation, and culture. Digital language course or mini course. So you just create a digital product around language learning. Self-paced program, Spanish for travelers, business English boot camp, language learning app or flashcard subscription, corporate language training service, language learning retreats, immersion experiences, accent reduction and pronunciation coaching, language blog and affiliate marketing, language learning merchandise printables. And then it gives you a fast path to 100 grand, which is combined tutoring and digital course plus YouTube content. And that could build authority, recurring income, and brand equity fast. Okay. So that's just this is how you start. All right. So ideally, one of these will resonate with you. If not, you can ask for 10 more, or you can move on to a different hobby. Okay. So let's just say we did language learning flashcard subscription, digital. Let's just do this. Then after you do this first step here, then you want to have another prompt around what are the steps. So you can start brainstorming like, okay, I do like that idea. Now, how would I get started with that? So around start a where is it? I'm going to go with digital language course and mini course business. So we're just going to pick one of these. Oops. So we'll just see what comes up. All right, again, just to get an idea of what you could be doing if that was something that you were interested in. Again, now here are the steps that you can take in order to start that type of business. All right, choose your niche. So, is it a beginner? Is it a traveler? Is it a professional, a student, parents? Define the transformation. People don't buy lessons, they buy results. Map out your course framework. Okay. Choose your format and tools. Create your starter offer. Build a simple sales funnel. Market with teaching content. Collect testimonials. Refine. Automate sales and scale. So there it is. Like that's, and then if you have any questions on any of these steps, then you can ask to, dive a little deeper. But you just really want to have an understanding of what plan you could take to get there. And ideally, it should resonate with you. All right. So that's just an example of how you can get started with an idea and start understanding, kind of what are the steps to start. One other thing that you could do is you can go on YouTube, right? YouTube is going to be your best friend. What are the steps to start a digital language course? Let's just see here. Let's see if YouTube will allow us to. Let's see here. Okay, so launch your course fast. So you're really looking to be a course creator. So, obviously it's around language, course creator business. So you can search that and then get a little bit more. How to build a legit online course works in 2025. Steps to build online course business step by step. See, now you can start learning how or what it takes to start a course online, right? And then you just figure out your frameworks, your process, and just go that route, right? And listen, I mean, a lot of this stuff is going to be marketing, all right? $10 million guide. Like, yeah, that's great. But again, let's just get you started. All right. You don't need to start figuring out how to earn 10 million until you earn your first 100,000. Right. I mean, I definitely love hearing the idea of thinking big, right? Set your goals huge because it does get you to think a little bit bigger, right? A little different, but don't get bogged down because most people just try to figure out how they could possibly earn X amount of money. And if you start trying to entertain how to earn 10 million, you're going to be it's so far away that it's hard to even wrap your brain around that. But when you bring it back to your current reality and like what you're currently earning and you're looking at these business opportunities, it makes it easier for you to say, okay, I could do this, right? And again, you could scale it to 10 million. Okay? Like I'm a true believer that any business that you want, if you get into it and you're like, you know what, I just want to, jump, slam on the throttle, and I want to earn as much money as I possibly can. That's great, but you'll never have that opportunity if you don't start. So let's just get you started first. All right, and I'm just sharing that. But yeah, so that's I don't know if I did a great job articulating that. I'm in the middle of a fast and my body's just screaming at me for food. But um yeah, I truly believe like if you feel called to starting your own business, you got to give yourself this shot. You got to give this opportunity, you need to give yourself an opportunity to live a fulfilling life. Right. And if in the back of your mind, you're saying, I really should be starting my own business. I really want to start my own business. Then do it. Please just take the first couple steps here and let's gain some momentum. Cause I don't know what it's gonna be like looking back, on our deathbeds. You're 90 years old and you look back on your life and you say, there was all these different times that I, went on a free workshop or I attended, a live stream or I watched a YouTube video and I just thought to myself, I really want to start my own business. But then I got sucked back into the reality and, my day-to-day routines and all of this stuff. And next thing I know, 40 years flew by and I never did it, never started my own business. Now here I am lying here, just full of regret. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for anyone. Okay. Like if you want to do something with your life, nobody's going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. And I know it can be hard at times. If you have a family, if you're married, you have a family, you're in a relationship, maybe you can do it for them. I think it's easier sometimes to like put the put the motivation in doing it for someone else. Because I mean, the more I think about it, the more I'm realizing that I don't think we're not built to do things for ourselves. We're built to serve and to help others. And if you have a family, starting your own business would allow you to create the best life possible for you and your family, right? But it's only going to happen if you start, if you get inspired, find that business idea. All right. That's it for tonight. Appreciate you showing up. If you're here for the replay, leave some comments below. And I also started a Facebook group to help you take these first few steps. If you'd like to join that Facebook group, you can request access. There's a link in the description of this video, and I'd love to have you there. Just trying to find a group of people that want to take action. I know there's a lot of people that want to start their own business, but the majority of people just like to talk about it. And if you're different, if you're like, I just need some help taking action. I just need those first few steps. I need a little bit of guidance. Then join that group. I want to help you. Okay? That's what I'm here to do. Again, it's a lot better when you're serving others, right? So, join the group. I'll see you there. Take care.